Willy Sochko destroys the flat earth. Here's what all of your proofs are worth. Willy Sochko destroys the flat earth. If you actually buy this shit, then I legitimately feel bad for you because you're wrong, and here's why.
30. In his book South Sea Voyages, Arctic and Antarctic explorer Sir James Clark Ross described his experience on the night of November 27, 1839, and his conclusion that the Earth must be motionless. The sky being very clear, it enabled us to observe the higher stratum of clouds to be moving in an exactly opposite direction to that of the wind, a circumstance which is frequently recorded in our meteorological journal, both in the northeast and southeast trades, and has also often been observed by former voyagers. Captain Basil Hall witnessed it from the summit of the Peak of Tenerife, and Count Strzelecki, on ascending the volcanic mountain of Kyrenia in Owyhee, reached at 4,000 feet an elevation above that of the trade wind, and experienced the influence of an opposite current of air of a different hydrometric and thermometric condition. Count Strzelecki further informed me of the following seemingly anomalous circumstance, that at the height of 6,000 feet he found the current of air blowing at right angles to both the lower strata, also of a different thermometric condition, but warmer than the interstratum. Such a state of the atmosphere is compatible only with the fact which other evidence has demonstrated, that the Earth is at rest.
I think I found your source. It's called sacredtext.com. I have a feeling this is where you're getting this shit from. 'Cause the way you present this quote makes it look like Ross said that the Earth is motionless, which we're meant to take as fact. But old Ross never said this anywhere in his notes. You've taken someone else's analysis and added it to this quote. So those that don't go further than watch your video will interpret this quote to mean what you wish they would show. The phenomenon you're describing does not present a fault. You forget that if the Earth was still, wind wouldn't spin at all.
Let's get the latest on the storm. You can see our weather looks great. Looking at 140 mile per hour winds, 45 mile per hour winds, moving to the north at about 9 miles per hour.
31. Quoting Zetetic Cosmogony, Thomas Winship states,
Thomas Winships is in fact a flat earth disciple. This is like quoting Jesus Christ to support your faith in the Bible.
Let imagination picture to the mind what force air would have which was set in motion by a spherical body of 8,000 miles in diameter, which in 1 hour was spinning round 1,000 miles per hour, rushing through space at 65,000 miles per hour, and gyrating across the heavens. Then let conjecture endeavor to discover whether the inhabitants on such a globe could keep their hair on.
The hair stays on your head because it's moving at the same velocity as the Earth. So this question is fucking lame.
If the Earth globe rotates on its axis at the terrific rate of 1,000 miles per hour, such an immense mass would of necessity cause a tremendous rush of wind in the space it occupied. The wind would go all one way, and anything like clouds which got within the sphere of influence of the rotating sphere would have to go the same way. The fact that the Earth is at rest is proved by kite flying.
It is going the same way, you idiotic bore. The kite is spinning with the Earth, and the wind moves it some more.
32. If gravity is credited with being a force strong enough to hold the world's oceans, buildings, people, and atmosphere stuck to the surface of a rapidly spinning ball, then it is impossible for gravity to also simultaneously be weak enough to allow little birds, bugs, and planes to take off and travel freely, unabated in any direction.
Just because it leaves the ground doesn't mean that gravity does. I swear to God I explained this in a previous episode.
33. If gravity is credited with being a force strong enough to curve the massive expanse of oceans around a globular Earth, it would be impossible for fish and other creatures to swim through such forcefully held water.
Yes, it's true that gravity pulls the fish toward the center of mass, but that doesn't rule out other forces, you snarky little ass. Gravity is the weakest force in the universe. The only reason we don't float to space is because of the fucking mass of the Earth.
34. Ship captains in navigating great distances at sea never need to factor the supposed curvature of the Earth into their calculations. Both plane sailing and great circle sailing, the most popular navigation methods, use plane, not spherical trigonometry, making all mathematical calculations on the assumption that the Earth is perfectly flat. If the Earth were in fact a sphere, such an errant assumption would lead to constantly glaring inaccuracies. Plane sailing has worked perfectly fine in both theory and practice for thousands of years, however, and plane trigonometry has time and again proven more accurate than spherical trigonometry in determining distances across the oceans.
Plane sailing is inaccurate after more than a few hundred miles. It is commonly used because most boats don't sail for a long while. And what you said about great circle sailing is getting on my nerves. It does not use spherical trigonometry, but it does require a curve. Don't you realize that other sailing methods also work? The sailing methods that do assume that there is a sphere, you empty-headed jerk.
35. If the Earth were truly a globe, then every line of latitude south of the equator would have to measure a gradually smaller and smaller circumference the farther south traveled. If, however, the Earth is an extended plane, then every line of latitude south of the equator should measure a gradually larger and larger circumference the farther south traveled. The fact that many captains navigating south of the equator, assuming the globular theory, have found themselves drastically out of reckoning, more so the farther south traveled, testifies to the fact that Earth is not a ball.
You simply made a statement with nothing backing it. I'd like a specific example so I can tell you why it's shit.
36. During Captain James Clark Ross's voyages around the Antarctic circumference, he often wrote in his journal, perplexed at how they routinely found themselves out of accordance with their charts, stating that they found themselves an average of 12 to 16 miles outside their reckoning every day, later on further south as much as 29 miles.
If the Earth is really the shape you seem to think, he'd be a little more than 29 miles out of reckoning.
37. Lieutenant Charles Wilkes commanded a United States Navy exploration expedition to the Antarctic from 1838 to 1842, and in his journals also mentioned being consistently east of his reckoning, sometimes over 20 miles in less than 18 hours.
Navigation gets difficult as you get close to the South Pole. That's because it's in a different place than the Southern Magnetic Pole.
38. To quote Reverend Thomas Milner, in the Southern Hemisphere, navigators to India have often fancied themselves east of the Cape when still west, and have been driven ashore on the African coast, which, according to their reckoning, lay behind them. This misfortune happened to a fine frigate, the Challenger, in 1845. How came Her Majesty's ship Conqueror to be lost? How have so many other noble vessels, perfectly sound, perfectly manned, perfectly navigated, been wrecked in calm weather, not only in dark night or in a fog, but in broad daylight and sunshine? In the former case, upon the coasts, in the latter, upon sunken rocks, from being out of reckoning? The simple answer is that Earth is not a ball.
Or could it be that they fucked up? Oh, what a tragedy! Why are there never examples from the current century? Give me a second, I look it up. Oh wait, it doesn't exist. Now, nothing you're saying is based in truth, and it's starting to get me pissed. I tell you, I've had enough of this shit for tonight. Farewell, friends. Hope you enjoyed. Rate, comment, subscribe. God damn it, Gary!
I just wanted to.
It can wait. I don't care if the fucking building is burning down. I gotta fucking record this!